This is Ask an Expat with Marcus and Matt from An Expat's Russia, where we answer your questions about what it's like to live, work, and travel in Russia. Hi everyone, in this video we're going to talk about Americans getting married in Russia to Russians. Matt, tell us about your experience. First of all, we'll start with why you got married, and then we'll go into how, kind of the details of how.
Sure. So I got married in Russia because that's where I lived at the time. I was working full time in Russia, had a job in Russia. My girlfriend and fiance were Russian, so it didn't make sense to go to the United States. Actually, we'll get into it maybe in another video, but immigration laws are difficult, so I think it's always probably easier to get married wherever you're both living, if you're both living in the same country legally. So there's lots of bureaucracy, obviously, in Russia generally, and that obviously extends to getting married. There are basically a list of documents you need before you can even make an appointment. Also, what's interesting is that in Russia, when you get married, the service is usually done at like the state registration agency. So you don't go to a church like is typical in the United States. And you don't like go in advance to get a marriage license. So basically what you do is you make an appointment with the state registration place where they actually do the service for you, and that's where you get married. You sign the certificate and that's it, which is a little bit different than in the US. So to get the documents, you first have to prove that you're not married to anyone else, and you have to go to your embassy. You can get a document. For U.S. citizens, you can get what's called an affidavit. So basically, you swear in front of the guy at the embassy that you don't have any other wives or husbands. And then with that document, then you go to the Russian Department or Ministry of International Affairs. Is that MEAD? Yeah, I think International Affairs.
Right. I remember that.
Then they have to legalize the document, and that takes a couple days, and that's kind of an experience for me. You go in there. I was very lucky that I was like the only American guy who was doing this. You go in there, and I met lots of Egyptians. There were people from Arab countries, people from all around the world trying to get married in Russia. None of them obviously spoke Russian. I walk in there as the American guy. I'm speaking Russian to the guy, and I automatically became his best friend. And he was like, "Oh yeah, we'll help you. We'll speed this up." And so another kind of interesting experience where speaking Russian, you get kind of preferential treatment as a foreigner sometimes in Russia. But you had decided, like, your wife's not from from Moscow, so you basically decided to do it in Moscow because that's where you were both working at the time, right? Yep.
Okay, and then you chose a ZACS, one of those marriage ceremony places.
Well, so
how did you choose
So technically, you can go to any of the ZACS, but historically there was a ZACS that was, not only for foreigners, it was for the people in that area, but also only for foreigners. I don't know when the law changed, but now you can.
Oh, that's right.
You can technically go to any ZACS, but we just went to the one that was closest to us. That just made sense.
Okay.
But it also happened to be the one that was for foreigners. I also just didn't want to deal with trying to argue with them because I'd heard stories of someone going there trying to, get married, and they're like, no, foreigners have to go to that ZAGS, and the guy would be like, no, I read online the law says I can go to any ZAG, and then you're obviously just kind of arguing back and forth with them. So we just went to the one, I think it was ZAGS number 4 in Moscow.
Let me ask you, did you get the date that you wanted from the very beginning?
I honestly don't.
We did not get the date that we wanted. I thought it was weird that you have to. You only have like the next 3 months to choose from, right? And those dates, the weekends, they fill up fast. So we didn't get a weekend. What did you get?
So, because we had a number of people coming in to visit from the United States, we didn't really choose a day. We weren't particular about having like 777. 7/7/17, something like that. We got married in 2017. So we went to ZAGS. We just asked them, like, what do you have around July 4th? Because we knew people would have the ability to, in America, no one has a lot of vacation time. So we tried to make it as easy as possible so people could take 4 days and get the whole week off. So we just went in there and chose a weekday. So we were kind of indifferent to the date.
Ah,
And so we chose July 5th.
okay.
And then on July 6th, we did like an American style wedding. One of my very good friends was a Methodist pastor who was based in Moscow, and he did a, Methodist wedding for us, like we would have done. It wasn't at a church, but it
Okay.
was, like the full. And his wife is Russian too, so she translated everything. So like he did the service in English, and his wife did a
Hmm.
simultaneous translation of the Methodist service into English. It was really, really pretty
Wow,
cool.
okay, that's cool. Yeah. But did you have a what is it called? Kind of like a banquet right after that, or
Yeah,
the
so we did the Zog's ceremony on July 5th, which is like the day we technically got married. And we went to the state registration agency, all my friends, and we all went there and um, we did that. And then the next day we did basically completely American style. Like you show up, you have the ceremony, and then there's like a banquet. But then we also wanted to do it Russian style too, so we hired bilingual MC or a tamada, as they would call them in um, Russian, and he was really good. He organized like all these little games and stuff, and people played, and he got everybody dancing and laughing, and that was
the
really a good time.
host, you mean, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
the wedding host?
yeah.
Okay.
What was your experience like? Honestly, I've heard a lot of people complain about how hard it is to get all the documents, get signed up, and I'm guessing from your question that about the dates that you guys had trouble with that. But like I said, we didn't have the specific date that we wanted, so we weren't upset.
Right. Well, normally you would choose a date first and then go do it, right? In the U.S., for example.
Right.
But our experience was so we were both living in Moscow in 2009, and we chose like, okay, we're gonna get married in April sometime. But we knew that we had to go to St. Petersburg, where we wanted to get married in St. Petersburg because that's where my wife's from, and we were both working like weekdays, so we're like, okay, Friday night we'll take the train. We'll take the overnight train, and then in the morning we're gonna go right to the Zaks and stand in line and go talk. Bring them our documents and pick the date. So
Mm-hmm.
Friday night, we're both off work or whatever. We get to the train station, or we're on the metro, and basically it was the ring road.
Yeah.
Some kind of accident on the metro. It stopped, and we were sitting in the metro like, we're not gonna make our train. So they opened the doors. They're like, we're gonna be here for a while, so you can get out if you want. And then we decided to take another route.
Yeah.
The red liner. We crossed, like, made some transitions on a different line. We're running through the metro. We get there and we see our train, taking off as we walk,
Oh.
running up to the track. We're like, oh, and then the next we go and we get the next train. It's like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. So we're sitting in the train station for 2 hours or something, waiting for the next train. So we get there, I don't know, like at 10 a.m. or I think we get to the Zaks at 10 a.m. We didn't even go home and shower or anything. We didn't even eat breakfast. We go right there. We stand in line. Everyone's like saying, "Who's behind who?" And then we're getting closer and closer, and then the Zaks close, and they're like, "Okay, um, we're going to take a break for lunch." And we're like, "Oh, great!" So we go get some pizza at Papa John's or
Mm-hmm.
something, like right in the area. We're like, "Okay, we're gonna go eat, come back." So we come back, and then everyone's arguing about who was in line when we left. I was like, oh my gosh. And then this Russian couple, they're like, no, 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 you. They were pointing at us, talking to another Russian couple. No, these guys were right behind us. And I'm like, thanks, thanks for telling him, because I didn't want to wait. We only had that Saturday, so we finally get in there. The guy's like, okay, where's your documents? And we're like, okay, which documents? Your passport, your whatever. And then he's like, okay, where's your document saying you were never married? No, I think it was a lady. It was a lady. Where's the document saying you were never married? I'm like, I was never married. Like, I was just really naive, and so you have to have a document saying, affidavit from the consulate, from the U.S. embassy,
Right.
saying you were not married.
Right.
Then you have to go to get that legalized.
Yep.
And we didn't have that.
Oh no.
We had like almost none of the documents that they really want. I was like, I have my passport, I have my visa. Like, what else do you need? Registration. So basically, they said, okay, this is what I'll do. Choose a date right now, and then you have to come within a month with those documents. And so she was cool about it. She said, choose your date, and then we're like, okay, what dates do you have? And we were like, okay, do you have this weekend in April? No. Do you have this weekend in April? No. All of the weekends we were thinking, okay, we'd like
Oh no.
our friends to be able, like our Russian friends to come to the. So the only thing really that was open was it was April 20th on a Monday, and it was like, a lot of people couldn't come because of that. So, or some people. I mean, some people took the day off, but it's kind of a different experience because I'm not saying bad, it was just different, right? So, oh no, the funniest thing was when we got to the lady at the ZACS to show her our documents to get the date. We're like, what do you mean, what documents? And she said to us, did you really think it was going to be that easy? And we're like thinking of our train ride and the terrible night and stuff. Anyway, but she was cool about, letting us pick a date and then coming back later and showing her the documents. But that's kind of those are the things that you need to do to get married in Russia as a foreigner.
Right.
That was in 2009. 2017 sounds like yours was fairly similar as far as documents and procedure. But
I think the document
what about
procedure
the
is
ceremony? The ceremony was kind of weird to me because, I mean, it has to be this place and they kind of rush you through. And you're like, it's very, very formal. The lady is like pronouncing it with this like almost kind of like the Hunger Games announcement or something, when they meet to see the big speakers. She's like, I cordially, welcome you to this grand event. She was,
Right.
Saying that in Russian, of course, but it was kind of weird language to hear. But and then you get married and sign. The cool thing was I liked that you signed the document
In
right
front of everybody.
very formally. Yeah. So what about afterwards? You went to did you go around the city? We went around St. Petersburg. That's kind of a popular thing.
That is popular. We didn't do that. We ended up just going to a Georgian restaurant and having dinner, everybody, which was a great choice.
When did you take the pictures?
So we took all the pictures at the American style wedding the next day.
Ah, okay. So
We
the
had
Russian
a photographer at Zags when we got married.
Uh-huh.
But most all of our wedding pictures are from the next day when we had
Okay, because I mean, when you get married in Russia, the tradition is you go to the ZACS, then you go around the city and take your pictures, and then you have your reception. Yeah, so that's what we did, but it sounds like you did something.
Right. We did a little bit of a
mixed.
Exactly.
Okay. So one thing I didn't mention is the reason we didn't get married in the U.S. I didn't want to go through the process of getting a fiance visa because I was already in Russia, so it was easier to get married in Russia and then apply later for a spousal visa in our case.
Right, and
but
we can talk about our
a lot of
experience
people
doing that.
Yeah, a lot of people think, oh, should I get married in the U.S. or their home country or go to Russia? You can do both, but you'll probably be waiting around for immigration documents to be approved, especially during COVID. So
Right. But anyway, let us know in the comments if you had a good or bad experience getting married in Russia. It'd be interesting for us to know. Lots of Americans or lots of foreigners, for example, complain that it's difficult in Russia, but my experience was relatively straightforward. which is a bit different than Marcus, as you experienced.
Right, right.
But anyway, see you in the next video. This was Ask an Expat with Marcus and Matt from An Expat's Russia. We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have a question about Russia, let us know in the comments. We'll answer it in the video.